What
Good
is
morning.
a billionaire?
Today we're
And
going to
how
talk
do they
about
come
billionaires throughout the
A
world
billionaire is a person
and
who
what are some unique features
has more
that
than $1
describe
billion
how
in assets.
they got to where they're at, and try and find some
This person or
commonalities
these
to either A, be able to
individuals
predict the
are
next
people
generation of
that
billionaires,
have a great deal of
or
power in
B,
society. They
determine
can purchase things,
what
they
makes
can
a
influence
billionaire
politicians, they can
and
have
how
laws made on their
they built
behalf,
their net worth.
and they can
Billionaires are
cross
an
any
interesting
number of
concept in this
industries.
country. Most
This
problems in this
is
country
more than just having
and throughout
that
the world
asset
could be
number.
solved
It's a
by
social
throwing a number of
class.
dollars at it.
Now, the
Juxtaposed
data
with that
set
is we have a
that has been
number of
explored goes
individuals
into the
throughout the world who
specifics
have
of what makes up a billion.
that amount of money
Not necessarily
kept
how
to
they got to be
themselves.
there, but whether
And so
they
it
founded
creates
their
this
companies, how old they are,
position of envy for
what
many
country
people.
they're from, and
And
many other
so
data points
by studying
that
how
people can
billionaires
look
came to
at
be,
and decide
and
for
by studying
themselves
the data points
whether
that
or
make
not
them,
them having that amount of
we can
assets and
determine
them having that
whether or
amount of power
not
in
we can
society
think
is ethical.
this position is ethical,
I'd like you
or
to
whether
explore this data with me
billionaires
and decide for
should have the
yourself. Come
amount
to
of
your
wealth
own
they do.
conclusion of what you think the role
On
of
the screen,
billionaires
I
in
have
society should be,
several dashboards that break down
and where you think it should go from here.
different aspects of being a billionaire.
The
A
chart
couple things
shows
stand out right away.
that as time has gone on,
In the dashboard to the
the
far
age of
left of the
billionaires
screen, you
has
can see
increased. And that's one
billionaires
thing I'd
by
like
country code.
to have everyone keep in mind is that
Now, if you
the
look,
number of billionaires in society
most of the
has increased,
countries are
as
together
well as their
except for
ages
one
increased.
major outlier,
Also, if you look by country code,
and that is the
there's
United
one
States.
country
The
that
United
stands
States
out
has more billionaires
above
than
all
any
the
other
rest when it
country in
comes
the
to the
world,
presence of billionaires. It's the
not
United
just
States.
by
That's going to be
a
an
little
important
bit, but
factor
by a
here.
long margin. And then not only that, do they
So
have
this
more
data set can be
billionaires
used
than
on
any
a
other
couple
country in the
different
world?
levels.
The United
The
States
first one is on
also
a
has
personal level.
more wealth
If
hoarded
you as an
among those
individual have
billionaires,
the
which
desire to
means
become a
it's
billionaire,
the difference between
then
somebody
it's
having $1
fairly
billion
simple to
and barely making the
see
list,
what
and a
billionaires have come
person
before
having
you
almost $1
and do your
trillion,
best to follow their path.
like some people in this country.
The other aspect of
The
this
sum
is
of
to
money in
see
this
the
year,
effect that
especially as
billionaires
the years
have
go on,
society as a whole,
we can see the change in billionaire
and
status.
to
We can see
attempt
the
to
United
challenge
States
that
outpacing the rest of the
aspect
world.
of their lives.
So then the first
What
requirement
this
that we
can do
have,
is this can
in
create a
order
more fair
to be a
society
billionaire, it is
with
useful
wealth
to be
more
born in the
equally
United
distributed.
States.
You can also see what parts
Going
of
to the
billionaires
bar in the middle, we can
are
look at the
self-made
GDP
and what
worldwide
part of being a
of various
billionaire
nations, and then calculate that
they have
against
no
billions
control
of dollars.
The chart to my left
So,
actually shows
billionaires
which
are people
aspect
who
of
can
billionaire
make
has
money
no
during
control.
times that are not
As
necessarily
you can
good.
see that there are some countries that
And I think
have a
that's a
higher
very important
frequency
skill
of
to have,
billionaires
because
than
if you
others.
look at the GDP
The last
line
chart showed, along with
compared
this
to the
one,
worth in billions,
the top country for having
GDP,
billionaires
well, GDP is
is the United
increasing,
States of
as we can
America,
see between
and that
96 and
crosses with
2001.
several different assets. It crosses with having one of the highest populations,
Worth
as
in
well as
billions
having
goes up
one of the
at a similar
highest
rate. But then when GDP
GDPs.
drops down
It
between
also has
01
the
and
highest number of people
2014,
starting their own business. And these are important
worth in
data
billions
points that are
dramatically
going to come
increases,
into
which
effect
means
later.
billions are made
The decision
when other
tree
people are struggling.
to the left of the chart shows
And that kind of brings us
what the
back to
top
an
5
ethical concern.
factors of
These are
being a
folks who
billionaire
benefit
are.
from hard times.
Now, one of the data points that became challenging to work with
Also,
is the fact
the age
that
of billionaires
this
has
is a
gone up
ranked
in
order
the
list,
last several
along
years,
with
as you can see by the chart on the right.
amount of total assets is also ranked.
The green line
So
measures
using
the
the data
age,
point of worth in
and the purple
billions
line
to
measures the wealth in billions with the
decision
years
tree,
across.
what that did was it created,
the
outside of
bottom.
rank, what are other
Meaning
aspects that
that
go
a
into
person's
having a higher net
income,
worth, which even
their
puts them
net
in an elite
value,
class among the billionaires.
will increase with their age.
And there was a lot of data points
as the years go on,
that showed
making
a
it
wide
less
array
likely that new young billionaires can enter
of
the market,
values and showed a
meaning
wide
that
array
wealth
of
is kept in a static position
concepts that led
for
to being a
generations.
billionaire. Number one, there was about 5 countries that stood above.
I have
the
here
rest.
attached the tree
The United
sunburst
States,
of
Saudi
what
Arabia,
makes a
Hong
billionaire,
Kong, Mexico,
using net
and
worth
Sweden
in
all had
billions as the
the largest
target,
amount of
and soon we'll turn over
and
to
then on
what
top
the
of that,
rules
the
are
United
in this
States.
tree.
Also,
So this
the
here doesn't give us a
industries.
whole
There's
lot
a number
of
of
insight.
industries that
Basically, the rules are
their share of
telling us
billionaires,
general
including
statistics
retail,
of what
technology,
goes into
consumer industries, real
making
estate,
the most net
construction,
worth.
and
So
financial
it shows a few
services.
countries that stand above
So
all others.
what that means
Saudi
is that
Arabia,
there's no set
United
industry
States,
to
Hong
be a
Kong,
billionaire in, and even
Mexico,
though there's
and
one
others
country
to
that will make
follow.
more billionaires
And then
than
some
all the
industries
rest, there's no
that are
set
also
country that you're
highlighted
limited
in high
to.
demand. So you have retail,
However,
restaurant,
the next
consumer, real
analysis
estate,
is where we get
construction, financial,
see
and technology,
what some of the nitty gritty
which covers about our
aspects
entire
of being a
economy, which
billionaire
means
are.
that there's
The first
no
one
one industry, there's no right
is
one
the chart
industry, single way
that shows
to
worth in
become a
billions a
billionaire.
year, colored by wealth type.
Once again, this chart
This shows
another
the
example
number
of how
one
where you're born
way
plays one of the biggest
to be a
roles
billionaire
in
is to
determining
inherit
your net worth. This is worth in billions.
True,
and I did it by average
year. However, this amount has
number of
dramatically
dollars with
increased
billionaires.
in the last
Which means the United
several
States not
years,
only
in
has
the
the
last
most billionaires,
2
but has the
decades.
highest per capita
The
net
chart
worth
has
within the scope of those
exceeded
billionaires.
every other amount
So the worth in
to
billions
becoming a billionaire.
out of the 903
The
billionaires,
next highest category
he's at
is
3.92 billion, which is the highest average of any country.
Is privatized and resources,
totally eclipses
followed
any other
by
country.
Self-made finance.
Now there are
several ways to do this. However, the number one way
this
to become a billionaire is already outside.
The first one being the basic boilerplate of
and that should lead us to some of our analysis.
The name, instructor name, course.
Now, and being a billionaire,
and then the other one I used was
not necessarily tied
a link
to the gross domestic product.
An article I found.
In fact,
talking about
as we can see,
ethics of being a billionaire.
Now, there's a few of these out there. As we see in the chart,
and they're mostly
the gross domestic product actually goes counter
firm
to
answer in ethics,
people's wealth in billions.
But what it shows is, rather than accepting
2014 is a great example where there's a dramatic drop-off in the global GDP,
whether or not we as a society want to accept the
almost disproportionate rise,
and we want to see that trend continue.
The amount of wealth that
there's several insights gained into this,
meaning that
at the end of the day, one of the biggest insights that I found
wealth increased roughly,
regardless of circumstances, the United States makes more billionaires than any other country. Which means
when it comes to 2014,
in the United States, you're already
fortunes are made during hard times,
ahead of the game.
So that
however,
means
a couple
that these
things turning
people
against
that are billionaires made their
billionaires
money
are made during hard times. Billionaires are the people
the next
that
shows
can take advantage of a situation when it's going poorly for others.
After inherited, which we already discussed,
and that can increase
the next one
the
anxiety,
and that can increase
now, this is an interesting.
the sense
There's
of
several
envy
important
among
businesses that have been
individuals.
founded. Whose founders
the other
are
aspect is that billionaires,
and these businesses contribute greatly
now
to the
more
economy.
than ever,
they also
are the
provide
oldest
a number
demographic
of jobs
in the
and
country.
services that everyone uses.
Meaning
these
that
are
these
Google,
are people who will likely be passing away and passing on their wealth.
Amazon's a famous one. And
in the next few
what this
years.
shows
So we should see an
not
influx
just
of
a
capital into the
billionaires,
market
but there is a positive
with their passing. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
What's the so what of the data? What are the recommendations that this leads us to? The two main concerns that the data shows is that the number of billionaires has increased in a number of years, and the age of those billionaires has increased as well, along with the rate of inheritance. So the prevalence of inherited wealth is a major red flag, along with the increasing age of billionaires. This leads us to two recommendations that can not just curb the existence of billionaires, but ensure that wealth is being used for the public good. The first thing would be an asset tax. Normally, people's billionaire status is not held in raw assets, meaning that it's not just held in liquid cash. These folks don't typically have $1 billion sitting in a Chase Bank savings account. Typically, these people's assets are in either properties or they're in stocks. So a lot of these people's billionaire status is in the face of unrealized gains. However, most people in the United States that are property owners are taxed on their unrealized gains as well. Property tax is a major part of the contribution of several cities, and it is important to how our schools are funded. So what property tax does is it takes someone's unrealized assets, in most cases their home, or in certain cases their car, boats, RVs, what have you, their personal assets, and it charges a tax on them. This can be done and ported over to stock of billionaires. And what it can do is it can show what their assets are and charge them a percentage on that, which would stop the scheme that's being done by some billionaires, such as Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, of simply borrowing against the value of their assets and reporting very little income. The next concern to address is the rate of inheritance. The inheritance is making it so that people are either A, locked out of being billionaires before they start, or B, the fact that wealth stays within one family. Now, by implementing an inheritance tax, what that would do is it would decrease the rate of billionaires, and it would also ensure that that money is used for public good, because at the end of the day, billionaires rely on public resources in order to make their money. They need to have a consumer base to sell their products to at the end of the day. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget, that while billionaires are job creators in a lot of instances, they also rely on having a customer base. And the final recommendation is to ensure that people are rewarded for doing the right thing. Major tax incentives, as well as exemptions to the previous taxes mentioned above, for people doing the right things, for people who create jobs with living wages, for people who have a product sold at a fair price, and for people who contribute to the public infrastructure. Those are things that people should not be penalized for, they should be rewarded to, showing that perhaps there might be the existence of an ethical billionaire in the United States. All of these would recommendations put together would ensure that money that is derived from public sources would go back into public good, and the people who create wealth and create ideas and create products that we all rely on are rewarded fairly for their contributions. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful class.